Hello and welcome to the International Soccer Preview. I'm Kevin.
And I'm Connor. And today we're going to have a look at Nigeria's squad for African Cup 2021. So, what we'll be doing is looking at kind of the possible players for each position, determining what we think or how likely we think the player is to be involved. And then we'll discuss which players made the final 28-man team.
Right, and for people watching on YouTube, we have a very simple graphic where you can look at the names of the players. And for audio listeners, we'll try to repeat the name a few times to help you familiarize yourself with them. So let's begin with managers, and a bit of a surprise with Nigeria, Connor. They sacked actually their longest serving manager, Gurnet Rohr, from he had been manager of the team since 2019, and he guided them to the African Cup and to the final round of World Cup qualifying. But he was sacked shortly before the tournament began.
Yeah, kind of a strange one given that Nigeria qualified for this tournament and are into the final round of the World Cup qualification. So definitely strikes me as odd to make the change before the tournament. But nonetheless, Augustine Aguavan, he has stepped up. He managed a national team once before from 2005 to 7. Um, and he managed primarily clubs in Nigeria, but has now taken over on short notice to lead the team into the African Cup.
Yeah, he is just an interim manager, and apparently the newly appointed manager, Jose Pacero, will kind of join him as an observer for the tournament here. He was actually a player for Nigeria in the 1990s, a defender.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah, just Augustine Aguavan we're talking about there as a player for Nigeria. So yeah, on a short, brief spell here, but he will have the job of trying to take them all the way in this tournament.
yeah, that's right. Okay, let's move on then to the players, and we'll begin with goalkeepers. And we have a definite candidate in Maduka Okoye. So Maduka Okoye is played actually 10 of their 13 games in 2021. He was ill for one of those and on the bench for one of those, and then not selected for one game. But looks like their starting keeper, Connor.
Yeah, he's been with Sparta Rotterdam in the Netherlands since 2020. He's young, he's 22 years old, but has 12 caps already since joining the national team in 2019.
Right, and he was born in Germany with the Bayer Leverkusen youth club, amongst other German youth clubs there. So he's made inroads pretty quickly,
Yeah.
kind of displacing our next keeper, who we consider likely nonetheless, Daniel Ekpey. Daniel Akpey played none of their 13 games in 2021, but he was on the bench for the last 8 of those, but he wasn't selected for the first 5.
Yeah, he started all 7 games in the 2019 African Cup, but he's 35 years old now. Um, so perhaps on the way out, as you mentioned, he currently plays his football with Kaiser Chiefs in South Africa.
Yeah, that's right. And he was the backup keeper in the 2018 World Cup also. Also, someone we consider likely is Francis Zuho. So Francis maybe Azoho played 2 of their 13 games in 2021, the 2 that Okoye missed. But he was ill for the last 2 of those, but on the bench for 8. So that's why we consider him likely.
Yeah, and he was the starter at the 2018 World Cup. He has just 18 caps to his name, but he's another young goalkeeper, just 23 years of old.
Right, and he was a backup in 2019 too. So it seems like the starter position was kind of unsettled for quite a while, and but now Maduka Okoye seems to be the starter, at least for the time being. And that's all we have in terms of candidates. So let's turn and see who actually made it.
Well, all three of them made it. That's Maduka Okoye, Daniel Ekpey, and Francis Zuho. And because teams can bring 28 players instead of the normal 23, many are adding a fourth goalkeeper, and Nigeria are no different. So they've called up John Noble Beranyima, who doesn't have any caps for Nigeria, but currently plays his football with Enyimba, which is a Nigerian team.
Right. Okay. So we'll have Daniel Akpey and Francis Zuho as substitutes. Although it wouldn't be a shock to see that change, especially with some of the teams already having COVID cases. So even some of the starters are not actually starting, which is why they've allowed 28 players on the squad. All right. Do you agree, by the way, with that assessment?
I do, and I do agree that Maduka Okoye will be the starter.
All right, well, let's move on to central defence then. And we begin with Leon Balogun. We consider him a definite because he played 9 of their 13 games, including the last 6. And he was injured for 2 of those during the thing, but he seems to be fit now.
Yeah, he has 42 caps for Nigeria, and he spent the last several years of his career in the UK with Brighton, Wigan, and most recently Rangers, who he's been with since 2020.
Yeah, he spent a lot of his career in Germany before that, and he was born in West Germany. 33 years old, he's getting up there. But having said that, his first tournament was just in 2018, where he was a starter in the World Cup. And he was also there in 2019. Didn't start the first game, but gained a starting position. And probably alongside him is William Troost Econ, who we also consider a definite candidate. He played 10 of their 13 games in 2021, including the last 6.
Yeah, he's 28 years old, and he currently plays for Watford in England, so he is in the Premier League currently. He's been with a couple clubs before that, Udinese in Italy, Bursaspor in Turkey, Ghent in Belgium, and Groningen in the Netherlands. So he's been around, but he has 52 caps across having joined the national team since 2015.
Right, I found him a bit mistake-prone this season. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, well, Watford don't have a very good defensive record. He's played a lot, and I would kind of agree with your assessment. So, yeah, maybe, hopefully, he can kind of plug the defense for Nigeria, and maybe the change of scenery might do him good.
Yeah, well, one of those 2 goals was actually a late winner against South Africa in the quarterfinal in 2019. So I was going to say he kind of gets up for headers from corners, which that probably was, but he only has 2 goals to his name, so I won't make any claims. And I'm not really sure about that mistake-prone thing. I just noticed it this season. Anyway, as a possible candidate, we have Kenneth O'maro. Maybe I'll let you try that because I'm hurting my lips here. But he returned after an 11-month absence in September to play 4 of their remaining 8 games in 2021.
Another veteran of the team with 55 caps. He's been with the team since 2013. 28 years of age. Sorry. He was with Chelsea for a long time, but currently plays his football with Leganes in Spain.
Right, and I think sometimes he has appeared as a right back, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, he was subbed into the 2013 African Cup, where he gained a starting position, and he was a starter in the 2014 World Cup and also in the 2019 African Cup. 2018 World Cup, he didn't start, but again gained a starting position. So he's definitely been with the team for quite a while. Also in the possible category is Adekunle Adeleke, and he played his first cap in March and played just the one of their remaining games in 2021, but he was on the bench for 3 others. So that's Adekunle Adeleke.
Yeah, 19 years old. He plays his club football in Nigeria.
Okay. And Kevin Akpoguma. Kevin Akpoguma didn't play any of their games in 2021. He was injured for 2 and out for 2 with coronavirus, but he was on the bench for the last 4 games. Do you want to tell us a little bit about him?
Yeah, he plays for Hoffenheim in Germany. He has just 4 caps for the Nigerian team since debuting in 2020.
All right. He was also born in Germany as well. And then we'll just mention a couple of names who have made an appearance but not really established themselves in the team. But Olisa Nda is a candidate, and also Valentine Ozonwafor. We'll just leave those names out there for the time being unless they get selected. And we have one more who is probably off the squad now because he didn't appear in 2021 except for 2 games on the bench. The first 2 games of 2021. Semi Ajayi. Semi Ajayi plays for West Brom in England. Are you familiar with him?
Yeah, he's been with West Brom since 2019 and was with Rotherham before that. And actually before that, came through the Cardiff City youth system.
So I did not know that.
One of our own.
Okay, well, I hope he makes it then. Let's turn our attention and see who among these players did.
All right, so in terms of center backs, Leon Balogun did not make it. He was selected but withdrew. And I just checked, that does seem to be because of injury. So Leon Balogun, one of our definite, will not be there because of injury. But William Troost will be, as will Kenneth O'maro, the former Chelsea player.
Uh-huh.
And then one of the players we had possible but unlikely, that's Olisa Nda. He made the team. So maybe you want to tell us a little bit more about him.
Yeah, okay. He plays for Galatasaray in Turkey since 2019. He played just 2 of their 13 games in 2021 and was on the bench for 1 other, but he wasn't selected for 10 others, including the last 6. So he's just been with the team since 2021 with those 2 caps, and he's 22 years old. I wonder if he was selected to replace Leon Balogun.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to correct you there. I believe you were talking about Valentino Ozornwafor, who didn't make it.
Yikes.
But Olisa Nda, he plays with Orlando Pirates in South Africa and has 3 caps and is 25 years old.
All right, nice sparing my blushes there. Okay, but I do think no, actually, Connor, slam on the brakes. Semi Njayi is actually the one brought in to replace Leon Balogun, our Cardiff City trained player. Woohoo!
Yeah, so not somebody we'd expected. Seemed to be off the squad, having not been selected for their past 11 matches, but called up kind of at the last minute. I presume as well that would be to place Leon Balogun.
Yeah, so Olisa Nda was just selected outright. Nevertheless, I believe Olisa Nda and Semi Ajayi will probably be back up there with William Troost and Kenneth O'maro as the starting central defenders. Would you agree?
I agree 100%.
All right, well then let's move on to left backs and begin with Jamilu Collins, who we consider a definite candidate. Having played 11 of their 13 games in 2021 and on the bench for 1 besides.
Yeah, He's 27 years old, has 24 caps, and plays his football with Paderborn in Germany.
Right, and he was on the squad in the 2019 African Cup, but he didn't play any of the first 4 games. He was injured for the first 2, but then he gained a starting position for the last 3 games. If you remember, Nigeria finished in 3rd place, so they played all 7 games. All right, moving on to a possible candidate is Ola Aina. I consider him more of a starter, but let's see how he's done. He played 3 of their 13 games in 2021 and was on the bench for 5 of those and not selected for 5. So actually, it doesn't look like a starter there, although he did start in the African Cup 2019, but he lost his starting position for games 5 and 6.
Yeah, he came through the Chelsea youth system, but currently plays with Torino, and though he was loaned to Fulham in England for 2020-2021 season.
Yeah, he was actually born in England there. Okay, and the last candidate we have for left back is Zaidou Sanusi. So Zaidou Sanusi played 3 of their 11 games in 2021 and was on the bench for the last 2 of those.
Right, and he plays his football with Porto in Portugal. He has just 6 caps, having debuted for the team in 2020.
Right, so no tournament experience for him. Let's see who made the squad.
And in fact, all 3 of those players made the squad. In the left back position, that's Jamilu Collins, Ola Aina, and Zaidou Sanusi.
Right, so I think we'd have to consider Collins the starter there, and Ola Aina and Zaidou Sanusi the substitutes. Do you think?
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay, let's move on to the right back position and begin with Trudeau Yowazim. Trudeau Yowazim is considered a definite candidate. He played 9 of their 13 games in 2021 and was on the bench for 3 others. So looks like a shoe-in there.
Yeah, he plays with Boa Vista in Portugal. He's 24 years old, but already has 24 caps for Nigeria.
Right, and he played with Porto too. That's a pretty big club. However, it wasn't enough to get him a starting position in the World Cup, where he spent the tournament on the bench. And in 2019, he started on the bench, but then earned a starting position after game 1. He subbed in at 42, so I'm guessing he replaced someone who was injured there. Anyway, moving on, we have Abdullahi Shehu as a likely candidate in the right back position. So he played 5 of their 13 games and was on the bench for 7 others. So looks like the backup there.
Yeah, he's 28 years old and has 37 caps. He plays his football currently in Cyprus.
All right. And he was a starter in the 2018 World Cup, but he lost his position after game 1 and didn't appear again. And hey, I was right. In 2019, he started game 1, but got injured at 42. So he came back for the last 3 games there, but that's why Chidozie Awaziem became the starter because of his injury. And just one more name to mention here, Tyrone Ibuy. Do you want to talk about him?
Sure. He played 1 of their 13 games in 2021, on the bench for 2 and not selected for 10. So we have him as possible, but unlikely. He has 9 caps for Nigeria since 2017 and currently is with Benfica, so another of the Portuguese contingent.
Right. Okay. Well, let's look and see who made it there.
So Chidozie Awaziem, he made the team. And then it looks like Abdullahi Shehu was in the team but withdrew, and he was replaced by Tyrone Ibuy. So 2 right backs. And yeah, we did consider Shehu more likely than Ibuy, but yeah, a withdrawal, perhaps due to injury, does see Ibuy on the team.
Yeah, I just want to check on that. It doesn't actually say why he was withdrawn, but he looks to be a little injury prone as far as his tournament career goes. Anyway, so it looks like Chidozie Yowazim will once again take on the starting position with Tyrone Ibuy as backup. Do you agree?
Yes, I think that's the most likely for that position.
Right. Okay. In the defensive midfielder position, we have Onyinye Ndidi, so often known as Wilfred Ndidi, and we consider him a likely candidate because he played 7 of their 13 games, wasn't selected for 6 of those, but 2 of the games he played were the last 2. I have the feeling that if he's available, they'll definitely use him.
Yeah, he started all their games in the 2018 World Cup and all their games in the 2019 African Cup, except for one, which is kind of a B team game. And he plays with Leicester City in England and has since 2017.
Yeah, he's a real rock in the midfield. So I think I'm going to put him down as a starter, even though he hasn't started all of Nigeria's games. Oh, wait, we haven't seen if he's been selected yet. But I'm guessing he'll be a starter. Let's move on to Bonkei Innocent. Bonkei Innocent had his first appearance on the bench in September and played 2 of their remaining 6 games in 2021 and was on the bench for 2 of those last 6 games. And we consider him a possible candidate.
Yeah, just 2 caps to his name. He's a new player to the team. He plays his football with Malmo in Sweden.
Right. Okay, and the last one, possibly on his way out there, and we consider him unlikely, is Peter Etibo. And he played 3 of their 13 games in 2021 and was on the bench for 2, but not selected for 8, including the last 7.
Yeah, he currently is with Stoke, but has had a lot of loan spells in that time. Getafe, Galatasaray, and Watford. So he's moved around a little bit.
Right, and he was a starter in the 2018 World Cup, where he actually scored an own goal there, and in the 2019 African Cup. I mean, a starter, not another own goal. So yeah, it looks like he was a starter, and suddenly in 2021 was not being selected. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him, but he's been off the team for a little while. We'll just mention by name Tony Shimaga. We also have him as possible, but unlikely. But he's more of a local tournament player for Nigeria. And then do you want to take players who seem to be off the team?
Yeah, we have 3 players there we'll mention. The first is Mikel Agu, who last appeared on the bench for Nigeria in November 2020. Anderson Asiti, who last appeared in October 2019. And then somebody who I'm pretty sure is retired is John Obi Mikel. Played for Chelsea, most notably in the Premier League for quite a long time. A real stalwart for them. Captain of the team at various times, including in the last African Cup. But the last African Cup was his last appearance, so I don't think we'll see any more of him.
Yeah, and there was kind of an air about it being kind of a testimonial tournament for him. And sadly, he actually injured his knee during that tournament. But his first tournament was way back in 2006. So he's been on the team for a long time. But yeah, definitely seems to be aging out at 34. So farewell to John Obi Mikel. And let's see who made it.
Well, the only name among defensive midfielders is Wilfred Ndidi. So, yeah, I think we expect him to be the starter in that position because there's really no other players in the team who kind of hold that position.
Yeah, well, fair enough. Our next most likely candidate was at the possible level. So all the names we talked about were kind of less likely. So Wilfred Ndidi, we'll see you at the African Cup. And let's move on to central midfielders. Whoa, I'm all over the place here. Just hang on and let me fix up the graphics here. Okay, central midfielders, and we begin with Joe Arrebo. Joe Arrebo had played 8 of their 13 games in 2021, including the last 6. So seemed to work his way in at the end there, Connor.
Yeah, he's 25 years old and he plays for Rangers in Scotland, where he's been since 2019.
Right, no tournament experience for him, but working his way in. And at the possible level, we have Frank Onyeka. Frank Onyeka had his first appearance in October 2020, but then didn't return for a whole year and showed up again in October 2021 to play 3 of their 4 remaining games and was on the bench for the other.
Yeah, he's a player I like. He plays with Brentford in England, so is playing in the Premier League, and previously was playing in Denmark, though Brentford has kind of a lot of players come from Denmark to Brentford, so he was one of those.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, cool. The next one is Michael Kingsley, and he doesn't have a lot of experience with the team, and in fact, I believe he's an injury doubt on top of being an unlikely player for us here. He had 2 separate injuries for the last 4 matches, so we'll leave that aside unless he's chosen. And finally, we have Ramon Aziz. And Ramon Aziz seems to be off the squad, having last played in November 2019. So again, we'll kind of leave him aside. He was a starter in the 2014 World Cup, by the way, but just for 1 game, and then he disappeared after game 1 and never reappeared. So it looks like he was never really a full member of the squad. Sorry, I'm kind of yammering to myself here. Let's go and see who made it.
2 players did, and those were the first 2 on our list, Joe Arrebo and Frank Onyeka. So likely we'll see at least one of them partnering Wilfred Ndidi in midfield.
Yeah, a bit of a thin midfield there. I wonder if Onyeka will be a starter, because usually you need more than 2 or 3 central midfielders. But we'll see if maybe they have more wingers and things to fill that position out. So actually, well, I've answered my own question, because we have no candidates registered as left midfielders and none registered as right midfielders either. Bit of a surprise, isn't it?
Yeah. However, that will take us into the winger position, where there is sometimes a bit of overlap.
Yes, that's true. And the first one is Chidera Ejuke, and he is considered a possibility by us, although the lack of players here maybe bumps him up a notch. But he played 4 of their games in 2021 and was on the bench for 2. And I'll hand it over to you to tell us about him.
Yeah, he's young. He's 23 years old, has 6 caps to his name, and he plays in football in Russia with CSKA Moscow.
Right, and I think actually there was a bit of a mistake. I've been saying that they had 13 games in 2021 until now, but I think the source I was using kind of repeated a couple of games. So I think it was really 11 games in 2021. So forgive if there's a bit of a mistake, but, generally we get an impression of how much they've been playing. So Chidera Ejuke, a possible candidate, and the other possible is Aneo Iwoala, who had his first cap in March and then played the first 5 of their remaining 11 games, but he wasn't selected for the last 6 matches.
Yeah, perhaps a sign that he won't be in the squad. He plays his football with Esperance in Tunisia, and he has just 5 caps to his name.
All right, and we'll just mention Abraham Marcus by name, but he's in the possible but unlikely category, so maybe he kind of popped up for Nigeria but didn't play much. And then also in the possible but unlikely category is the Henry Onyekuru.
All right. Do we want to go through who made it?
Okay. Just a note on Henry Onyekuru. I think he's an injury doubt too. But yeah, we'll detail if he made it. So yeah, go ahead.
All right. So Chidera Ejuke did make the team. He was our one of our possible candidates, as actually Henry Onyekuru did as well. He was kind of a late selection. So maybe you can tell us a bit about him.
Oh, okay. So yeah, he played just 3 of their 13 games in 2021, but he had 2 separate injuries for the last 6 matches. So a bit of an injury doubt. But even with that, we considered him an unlikely candidate. He was still listed as injured with an unknown injury, having recovered from a fractured ankle in 2024, but mostly we considered him unlikely because he just appeared as a sub in the 2019 African Cup. I think I remember him on Everton's squad, but I don't remember that much about him. I don't think he made much of an impression there, Connor.
Yeah, I don't think so either. He was loaned to Galatasaray, who eventually moved to permanently. Currently, he plays with Olympiacos in Greece.
Yeah, having said that, he's been with some pretty big clubs. So, I wonder who he replaced there. Maybe we can look into that. But let's first take a look at right wingers. And okay, sorry, the graphics. I messed up again.
That's all right. I guess I'll introduce the one candidate we have on the right wing, and that's Emmanuel Dennis.
Okay.
So he last appeared for the national team in November 2020, and he has just 3 caps to his name. He's with Watford in England, where he's been since 2021, and he's made a very good impression in his debut Premier League season.
Yeah, we have him as last appearing for the national team in November 2020. But given how well he's done for Watford in the first half of the season, I wouldn't be surprised. I think they might have even mentioned on TV that he'll be a candidate for Nigeria, given his performance.
Well, he was a candidate, but he didn't make the team. And there was actually a bit of controversy around it. I think Nigeria tried to call him up after the official deadline to call up players had passed, which means Watford didn't have to release him, and they didn't. So I think a bit of controversy around it because, yeah, the form he's in, you definitely want to have him, but a bit of controversy. But however it's shaken down, he will be with Watford and will not be playing with Nigeria.
Wow, a future consideration definitely for Nigeria, and I wonder how he feels about it himself. Maybe because he's playing so well for his club, he'd be just as happy to develop that reputation.
Yeah, I think it's always disappointing to not play in a major tournament and represent your country. So I'm sure Watford will be happier perhaps than he will be because he's in such good form. But perhaps a disappointment. But he's young, he's 24, and if he continues the form he's in now, he'll definitely be a player for them going forward.
All right. Well put there, and hopefully we'll see him down the road for Nigeria. We have now finished the midfielders, so we'll move on to the attacking force and begin with attacking midfielders. And Simon Moses, who we have listed as an attacking midfielder, but I think of him more as a right-sided player. But anyway, either way, he played 10 of their 10 of their 13 games. Now I'm all confused. Maybe it's 11. But anyway, he played 10 of their games, including the last 8.
Yeah, seems likely. Just to correct, his name is Moses Simon.
Oh, what did I say?
Simon Moses.
Oh my goodness, what a crime.
Moses Simon, 5 goals over 42 caps for Nigeria. He's played with a couple different clubs in a couple different countries, but he currently plays with Nantes in France and has since 2020.
All right, and he was kind of a starter in 2019. He started games 2 and 4 and just subbed into games 3 and 5 and 7 as well. And yeah, I have a note here that he lined up as a right attacking midfielder in both starts. So that's why maybe I have that impression. Okay, let's move to a likely candidate in Alex Iwobi. And Alex Iwobi played 6 of their games in 2021, including the last 2.
Yeah, he's just 25 years old, though it seems he's been around for a while, and that might include the fact that he has 49 caps. He worked with Arsenal for a long time, joining their youth system, but it currently plays with Everton in the Premier League.
Yeah, I believe that's right, although I think my notes are a bit mistaken, so I'm trying to... Yeah, he's still with Everton, so I need to fix my notes there. He was a starter in the 2018 World Cup, but he lost his starting position there, but then he regained it for the 2019 African Cup, and yeah, he scored 3 of their 14 goals in qualifying, including 2 of the ones, if you remember talking about that amazing 4-4 home draw with Sierra Leone.
Of course, we mentioned that in our team preview. Remarkable game, more so if you're Sierra Leone and the team that completed the comeback as opposed to giving up the lead. But yeah, remarkable game.
That's right. Okay, well, a possible candidate is Samuel Chukwueze. Samuel Chukwueze had played the first 2 of their 13 games in 2021, but then was injured for a long spell of games, but he did make it back to the bench for the last 2 matches. He scored 2 goals in qualifying there.
Yeah, he's a young player, 22 years old, but has already made a good impression with his club team, Villarreal. So pretty big player and probably a player with a big future ahead of him.
Yeah, even though he started in 2019 and lost his starting position there, I think he is a little more than a possible player here. I think if he's available, perhaps depending on that injury, the status of his injury, I think he will be selected.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Well, the next candidate is Samuel Kalu. He is also considered a possible candidate. He played 2 of their games in 2021, was injured for 2 and on the bench for 3 others.
Yeah, he plays his football with Bordeaux in France and has 17 caps and 2 goals since debuting in 2018.
Right, and he was a substitute in the 2019 African Cup. And that is it, Connor, just those 4 candidates. So let's see which of them made it.
Well, then it's the first 3 names that we mentioned have all made the team. So that includes Moses Simon, Alex Iwobi, and Samuel Chukwueze.
Okay, and... yes.
Actually, and there's one more who was a late addition, kind of added to the squad right at the end, and that's Kelechi Nwakali.
Oh, okay.
So he made his first cap in September 2018, and then hadn't made another appearance for 3 years till he was named to this preliminary squad, but then got bumped to the final squad kind of late on. So yeah, he hasn't played much for the national team before, though he currently plays his club football in Huesca in Spain.
Yeah, okay. So I'm trying to look and see who are the likely candidates. I think Moses Simon will be a starter. Alex Iwobi, I'm gonna put as possible. And Samuel Chukwueze, I'm going to put as a sub, along with the new one, Kelechi Nwakali.
Yeah.
Do you agree with those?
I do, and I think with both Chukwueze and Iwobi, they can also kind of play in a wide position, so they may start, but not kind of through the middle in an attacking midfield role.
Right. Okay. Yeah, as I said, I think Moses Simon is familiar to me on the right rather than in the centre. All right, let's move on to forwards then. And we have Kelechi Iheanacho, who plays alongside Wilfred Ndidi there with Leicester. And he played 11 games in 2021, 11 of their 13 games I have.
Yeah, the Leicester player who made a start at Manchester City. He has 10 goals across 36 caps for Nigeria. So, yeah, he's been involved recently, and I'd expect him to play probably as a starter role if he is selected.
Yeah, surprisingly, he hasn't done that yet. He was subbed into the 2018 World Cup and then started games 2 and 3. But he wasn't selected in 2019. He was on the preliminary squad, but didn't make the final cut. So, but I think he's grown in stature now and would probably be a starter here.
Yeah, he's still only 25 years old, so perhaps getting his chance. Though, as we'll see, Nigeria have a lot of good forwards to choose from.
Right, and the next one is Victor Osimhen. Victor Osimhen played 10, including the last 8 of their games in 2021, and wasn't selected for 3 others. He was also the top scorer for his team with 5 of their 14 goals.
Yeah, a big player for them, and also a big player for his club, Napoli. He's a young player, just 23 years old, but already has 9 goals and 17 caps, so a really good return. And growing into kind of one of the top strikers, I would say, in the Italian league.
Right, okay. And like Kelechi Iheanacho, he hasn't actually been a starter for Nigeria. He appeared in the 2019 African Cup, but only in Game 7, which was a partial B-team game, where he was subbed in at halftime. So pretty new to the squad, but I can't decide between these two which of them would be the starter. We'll come to that a bit later, though. Let's look at the other candidates. Odie Nagalo is a big name for Nigeria, and he was gone. He returned after a more than 2-year absence in November to play the last remaining game. So he seemed to be off the squad and now a consideration again.
Yeah, he's kind of had an up and down career. He really broke through with Watford in England, where he was with from 2014 to 17. He then played in China and actually had a loan spell to Manchester United from China in the 2020-2021 season. And he currently plays with Al Shabab in Saudi Arabia.
Right, he spent a big chunk of his career with Udinese. That's part of that kind of circle with Udinese and Watford and Granada in Spain. So it's that's where he spent a lot of his career. He was a starter in the 2018 World Cup, but he lost his starting position there, and he was subbed into the 2019 African Cup and gained a starting position where he made a good impression and won the Golden Boot Award and named to the team of the tournament. So a bit of a Phoenix player is Odie Nagalo. Another candidate at the possible level is Ahmed Musa. So as you say, a lot of candidates here. He played 10 of their 13 games in 2021 and was on the bench for 2, but not selected for the last one. I should probably have him a bit higher than possible, but can you tell us about him?
Yeah, he's kind of had a journeyman career, played with a lot of clubs. including Leicester City from 2016 to 18, though he was loaned to CSKA Moscow in that time. From Leicester, he moved to Saudi Arabia, then returned to play club football in Nigeria, and now currently plays in Turkey. But he has just over 100 caps for Nigeria, so he's been a really ever-present for them.
Yeah, he got off to a bad start in 2010 World Cup where he wasn't selected due to an injury, but then has been at all of the tournaments since. Although in recent tournaments, the World Cup and African Cup, he was a sub at first and earned a starting position in both cases.
All right, we have a couple more possible players or possible candidates to discuss, starting with Paul Onowatu. Kev, do you want to tell us about him?
Yeah, he played 7 of the 13 games in 2021 and was on the bench for 4. So he scored 2 goals in qualifying. Maybe you can tell us about his biography.
Sure. He currently plays with Genk in Belgium. He's first joined the Nigerian team in 2019 and has 15 caps and 3 goals in that time.
All right, and we have one more possible candidate in Taiwo Awoniyi. Taiwo Awoniyi had his first cap in October and then played one of the remaining 4 games and was on the bench for 1 more.
Yeah, he actually had was associated with Liverpool for several years, but currently plays with Union Berlin. I'm not sure he made a ton of appearances for Liverpool. And yeah, with the national team, he's just getting started, making his first cap in 2021, as you mentioned, and he's 24 years old.
Okay, well, the next set of players, none of them have established themselves on the team, but they've all kind of popped up. So we'll just introduce them by name. And sorry, I'm struggling a bit here. Maybe you can do that.
Sure. Some of these possible but unlikely names are Sunday Adetunji, Peter Olayinka. Also, there is Charles Atchemeni and Tareem Mofi. And we'll come to these players a bit more if they are selected.
Right. Okay, and we'll finish with Josh Meyer. Again, has not been part of the team. He was kind of maybe you can tell us a bit about his time with Sunderland there, but he looks like he's not a consideration for the national team here.
Yeah, one and only appearance was in September 2019. He was with Sunderland for a couple of years, where he really made his breakthrough before moving to join Bordeaux in France.
Okay, well, let's see who made it to the squad among these many candidates.
Well, there are a lot of candidates, but they did take several of them. So that includes Kelechi Iheanacho. And perhaps a surprise is Victor Osimhen. The Napoli striker was not selected, and I believe that's due to injury. So, a young player with a great pedigree, that'll be a big loss for Nigeria for sure.
Definitely, yeah. They seem to have enough players to cover for it, though.
Yeah, but we talked briefly about him possibly being one of the starters, so they'll have to kind of fill that role.
Yeah.
Odie Nagalo and Ahmed Musa, 2 veterans, they both made the squad. As did Taiwo Awoniyi, the Union Berlin player, once of Liverpool. He has just 1 cap, but he is part of the squad. And finally, one name we hadn't mentioned because he has no caps, and that's Umar Siddique. So he's a new player to the squad. 24 years old. He plays with Almeria in Spain.
Right. So I guess with Victor Osimhen out, Oh, hang on. We have one more. It looks like Peter Ola Inca was the replacement for Victor Osimhen.
Oh, okay. Yes, that's right. We mentioned him just briefly as possible, but unlikely. He'd only played one of their 13 games in 2021 and had two separate injuries for a couple of those games, but wasn't selected for 7 of those. So yeah, a bit of a surprise, but as you said, stepping in for Osimhen, he plays his football with Slavia Prague in the Czech Republic.
Right. So I'm not really sure what to think of starters, but I guess with Osimhen out, Iheanacho is kind of the natural starter. Igalo and Ahmed Musa are kind of veterans. I kind of see them coming in as subs, but perhaps not. What do you think?
I agree. Possibly more as a sub role. They do have a couple attacking midfielders, as we mentioned, who can step up into a more central, forward or even winger role. So they do have plenty of players to choose from. But I think Kelechi Iheanacho, of all the names we mentioned, would be most likely to line up kind of in the number in this forward position.
Yeah, but certainly a lot to choose from on the bench there. All right, well, let's do a quick review of the players that we think are the main names who will be starting. And as we said, manager Gernot Raw is out, but interim manager Augustine Aguavan is the manager for this tournament.
Yeah. In net, we expect to see Maduka Okoye as the starting goalkeeper. No Leon Balogun, who was somebody we thought we'd see. So we expect in central defense that William Troost and Kenneth O'Maro will be the two lining up. In terms of fullback, we've identified Jamilu Collins as the starter on the left and Trudeau Yowazim as the starter on the right. In terms of midfield, Wilfred Ndidi, we expect to see him starting in central mid, more in a defensive midfield position, with Joe Arrebo and Frank Onyeka possibly lining up alongside him. Moving up to attacking players, we don't have any wingers or left or right midfielders that we've identified as potential starters, but Moses Simon, we think will be a starter, with possibly Alex Iwobi as well, and then Samuel Chukwueze, another candidate. And then up front, as we mentioned, we think Kelechi Iheanacho will be the one leading the line, but there's plenty of players to come off the bench or to start alongside or in place of Iheanacho if need be.
Okay, and that brings us to the end of our look at Nigeria. So maybe you can sign us out with a little info about the podcast.
Yeah, so you can find our this podcast and all our others at soccerfiles.captivate.fm. You can also find us by searching Soccer Files Canada or International Soccer Preview. So we have podcasts for each of the team's players, as well as an overview of each of the groups. So definitely lots to check out. And if you have any comments or questions or feedback, you can email us at soccerfiles, that's soccerfiles with a PH, all one word, at gmail.com.
Great, and thanks for listening, and thank you to Connor for joining in this, and we will see you again next time.
All right, my pleasure. Thank you.
Bye.